Rachel, Emily, you played the sisters, the two Blitz sisters, the older and the slightly younger one. Tell me a bit about the relationship as creating that kind of role of two matriarchal figures, really.
Her being the eldest one and, you know, me being in the middle, I was in the centre between a Sissy and a Carol, so I was different to what Sissy was. Sissy was very much, you know, she had the Jewish accent that her mother was. She was more like her mother in ways, whereas, you know, I was in the middle. I was more accustomed to living in London. I had a Cockney accent.
Okay.
Yeah, I was older, so I was more like our mum. And I think my characteristics came out more like her as well.
I enjoyed being a supporting character because it took the pressure off performing, you know. There's like, you know, if you're the main character, the pressure of being in the limelight could have been so hard, whereas, you know, not a main character, supporting character, don't have that pressure.
And Emily, you had a unique challenge because you were double cast as well, so you actually had to create this character and then also double play the other character.
Well, Carol was more like myself, whereas Sissy was somebody completely different, so it was interesting to try and find the contrast between the two.
Ladies, tell me a bit about the makeup, because I remember saying to you that you had to wipe it all off.
At first I thought it was going to be really difficult because I do wear quite a bit of makeup, and to just take it all off in front of everybody in the group was really difficult, but in the end it was a really good feeling to be able to do it.
Because that's exactly what she would have been like, really.
Yeah.
And therefore...
There was no way Sissy would have ever wore any makeup because she was unglamorous.
Mrs. Blitzstein takes in a family right in the middle of that moment of the Blitz, and you come out of your house and you take one long look at all those people and you say, who are they? Who are they? Do you remember that moment?
I do. I thought that they're lower down in society than I am. I'm a Jewish, but I'm like kind of like, you know, my husband does something well, and I'm like, you know, I consider myself as an uprising Jewish woman, and I see them as lower class than me. And
is that how you think, Rachel?
That's how, no, not how I think generally, but it's how my character falls.
So you had to face up to being prejudicial then.
Mm-hmm. How
did you deal with that challenge of playing someone who's effectively racist?
I played it honestly because I think a Jewish person would have, like, you know, a bit of racism in them.
I just think it showed the ignorance of somebody being brought up in a completely Jewish family, and because our mum was quite strict, we were never given like the views of other people. It was always just a close-knit community. It was a really good experience just because it's different to anything we've ever done before.
The general thing, Blitz, will have more of a lasting impression on me.
How different was it being a young woman today than it was in the 1940s?
Completely different. Just the attitudes they had then are different to the ones they have today. Just simple things like the manner in which you hold yourself, your attitude towards kind of being affectionate in public, formality of being respectful to your elders. That, I think, played more of a part then than it does now.
Tell me a bit about some of the song and dance routines that you had to learn. I mean, how complicated were they?
Oh, they were quite
I struggled.
They were fantastic, though.
They were good, though, but I struggled personally. Like, after doing, like, a song and dance, I'd be out of breath, and it's really hard not to show that you're out of breath on stage, because I really wanted to bend over and pant. But I couldn't do that because you're supposed to be professional.
And was it also to do with the style of dancing as well? Because it was very different to contemporary movement, wasn't it?
I mean, I like dance anyway, and just the kind of the jive and the movements. I really enjoyed doing that, but doing that with the song and then going on to do a scene straight afterwards, it was exhausting.
So did you look into Landfill Girls and look at their roles and how they...
I did a bit on the internet, yeah.
I mean, I researched, and the role that women played in the war was essential. The men went to war and the women were the ones who made the ammunitions and kind of they made the machinery, and without the women the war wouldn't happen. So I think women took the chance to be that more important and that more essential, and I think they thrived.
Stacey Kimberly, you had that unique opportunity to be double cast as both Joyce Matthews and Mary O'Hara. Do you want to tell me something about the challenges that unfolded for you?
Well, I mean, we done quite a lot of research together to sort of try and determine what sort of characters they both were. we did obviously agree on which days. Like,
yeah, we split up the rehearsal. So like one day I'd play Joyce for the afternoon, and then the next day you'd play Mary or Joyce. So we like split up the rehearsal that way as well. So we both got a chance, equal chance.
You agreed common terms and then tried to work together towards it.
Yeah, because we didn't want two completely different versions of the character on stage, because we don't think that would have sort of
no, but we didn't want it the
well.
same either. We wanted our own interpretation of the character, but we still like incorporate the same kind of characteristics.
And there's a lovely moment in the second half of the play, isn't there?
Yeah.
Where you get your comeuppance in to a certain extent by the whole street. How did that moment feel of everybody turning towards you and saying, "Get out"?
It was quite strange actually, because I felt
It was nice to feel the intensity on you, like everyone looking at you like. But like with hatred, it's nice to have that kind of experience as well, instead of like one character hating another, instead of all of them turning on Joyce.
Yeah.
And yet you're both obviously grown women, so to play a young girl, what devices did you bring to avoid the stereotype?
Well, I mean, research always sort of comes into play with characters. It was mainly family research.
We asked our families, like, because my nan actually got evacuated at that age as well, and I asked her how she felt, and she was quite excited to go to the country and be evacuated and stuff, so I tried to incorporate that into Mary.
And then I had my nan, who wasn't evacuated because of the area she lived in, and she was around the same age as Mary O'Hara when the Blitz was going on. So I spoke to her quite a lot about it. And
did you find talking to real people as opposed to reading the internet much more valuable?
It was a lot easier.
It was more valuable.
You could actually sort of look into their eyes and see how they felt at that time, instead of just like...
It's more realistic because it actually happened to them as well, instead of just reading it from a
And ultimately,
web page.
did that inform the practical process?
Yeah. That helped a lot during it.
Well, I'm just going to take the whole experience of performing in a Promenade Show with me and the skills that I learned through to the other projects that I'm going to face.
And a valuable experience?
Very valuable. I gained a lot of new skills through the Blitz, and I think now that I've got a greater understanding of what actually went on during that time and how people felt.
So theatre can have a social conscience as well as an entertainment value.
Definitely.
This perhaps had both?
Yes, it had both, definitely.
Good. Hi Hayley, Suzanne, Gemma. You, if I'm not much mistaken, played Mrs. Murphy, Tommy Blackwell and Bird. It is quite interesting to gather the three of you together because you all kind of played characters that were diametrically opposite to you. A bit of a criminal, if I'm not much mistaken, Bird, a young lad, and then an old Irish lady. So really quite opposite to, I think, the three people sitting in front of me. Tell me a bit about that challenge and how you approached creating somebody that really you had to start from a completely different base.
It was quite hard at first, because Mrs. Murphy was, I reckon, in her 50s, and what I needed to bear in mind straight away was being 50 in the 1940s is a lot older to being 50 nowadays, so that affected my physicality of the character at first. It took me a while to develop the right sort of image for her.
Right.
Yeah, I thought it was quite an exciting challenge. It kind of, being a 12-year-old boy, brought back the kind of cheeky, mischievous child character in me. It was a really, really fun experience.
The character's always there in the script, but when you're playing a supporting character, you just have to work a bit harder to find that journey. And playing different gender obviously is a challenge in itself, but you just do your homework. All
the characters had their moments, whether it's just the signal with the hand. I remember when Bird that signals the hand when they're actually threatening Harry at the very end. And
that last scene.
All those little moments are opportunities for actors to influence. Because my last question was, what impact did you feel that you had on the play individually?
Mrs. Murphy, I think, was a comic relief.
Right.
A drunken, I'm middle-aged Irish lady.
Tommy?
I think he kind of represented all the children who lost parents in the war, who got evacuated, that kind of thing. And although he puts on his little front, there's a lot of stuff that affected a child at that age. They went through a lot.
Very much so.
And I think Bird's, yes, Bird is a criminal, one of the wartime looters, but at the same time, he's just a regular guy trying to survive, and it does represent a darker element of the story, but not everyone survives.
And we talked about that,
way.
didn't we? The crime rate during the Blitz, you know, increased tenfold.
Yeah.
You know, so while London was being bombed, London was also being robbed. Ladies, your lasting thoughts as you close the chapter on this one?
Memories and characterisation skills, I think, for me.
Yeah. The challenge. It's hard moving on to something else now. It was a lot of fun. I'm going to miss my character.
And Gemma?
Yeah, same. I am going to miss Bird a little bit actually, but it was a lot of fun, and you know, learned a lot from it. So.
Hey ho, bring it on. Thank you, ladies. Thank you very much. I hope these interviews have provided you with an insight and a snapshot into the experiences of being in a major production like Blitz the musical, and we'll sincerely look forward to the interviews for the future projects to come. Thank you.